Oh my goodness. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler, episode number 309. 309. Oh, let's go around real quick, get everyone in.
309.
The most misdialed phone number ever, right?
Ooh, okay, pro tip.
Not just from Steve.
Pro tip.
Maybe she'll answer this time. Let's find out.
If you are ever in a city that you don't live in and you're like at the grocery store or one of those places that need key cards, just do the area code you're in plus 867-5309 and it'll totally work. You get your discount.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Steve, start us off.
I am Steve Zengen. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup, allegedly.
Nice. Colin, how about you? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Me, I'm just a one-man band. I turn out websites for people locally here in Spain, typically for small businesses, personal sites. Just do it to keep myself amused as I'm retired.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you on here and hanging out with us. And you're also your first time here, so
Welcome.
good to have you.
Thank you.
We'll be gentle.
Well, I didn't watch the recording, so I know what
All right,
to
Say,
expect.
so you're lying to the man. Tell us about yourself.
I'm not lying. I'm feeling very nice today.
It took 309 episodes for that.
My name is Say. I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress at Say Read Media on all the things. And I like to sing. And today I'm feeling singy.
Well, you like to sing because you're in an empty room and you're super excited to be in an empty room.
That's exactly. The acoustics in here are like really great.
Good to have you as always. Mr. Cosper, how about you?
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. I'm Jim Cosper, aka Action Jackson, and I'm happy to be here today.
Part robot today.
Yeah, you definitely
Beep
got
bop
some
board
audio.
bop.
Yeah, you've got
Definitely got a little bit of audio. Something's going on over there. I don't know what's up with that, but we'll figure it out. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website's jasontucker.blog. I do this show as well as WP Blab. We do that on Thursdays, so feel free to go take a look at that. And if you try to watch this stuff live and it doesn't happen, maybe you're in a different time zone. Maybe you're in Spain and you're trying to watch WP Blab late at night. That happens here Pacific, and it doesn't work out for you. We actually record this stuff and stream this stuff live. So if you want to listen to the recording, you can definitely do that. We also post this up on YouTube, so you can watch it over there as well. And I want to say thank you for all the folks that are watching this stuff on a bunch of different places, over on YouTube, over on Facebook. We're also posting this stuff on Twitter. And if Steve wasn't here right now, he'd be gaming and he'd probably be streaming his stuff on Twitch. We're actually streaming on Twitch as well, so please go take a look.
Are we streaming on Twitch now?
We are.
Oh my god!
I want to apologize to all the gamers out there.
I am so excited. I've been getting so into. Never mind, but I'm really excited for Twitch.
Why?
So everybody, tell me how things have been going in Destiny. Is your good?
Destiny.
No, I was like, what?
No. Red Dead Redemption 2, dude.
Oh man. So we were discussing that we were going to talk a little bit about what Gutenberg blocks plugins. Is that what you're talking about? Say that was.
That was a subsection of the overall topic, which would be what was it? Plugins in the modern era.
Ooh.
Or just really the next generation of plugins. There you go. I remembered what I said. Because Colin was talking about his first submission to the plugin repo, and he wanted to talk about his experience, which was positive.
Yeah.
Colin. Not Common. I thought you said Common, like the rapper. What does Common have to do with WordPress? Colin. It's two different people. I'm up to speed now. I'm good.
Colin, how did that process go of submitting something to the WordPress plugin directory?
I was surprisingly easy. I bounced it backwards and forwards. I think it took about 4 iterations before they were happy with it. But there was plenty of help, plenty of advice, and it was a painless process. I was, having read various blogs and comments, I was expecting it to be a lot harder than it was, but
Colin,
maybe my coding's better than I thought it was.
Colin, if you work on the internet, you should know you're not supposed to believe all the things you read on the internet.
I know. I was
especially the comments.
I was just watching the news before I came in here, and there was a big bit on there about fake news, needless to say.
I only believe the Amazon comments. Those are the ones I believe.
The novels.
Those are the best.
So it was good. You enjoyed it, and it was nothing like what you expected.
Yeah, that's right. It was very easy, and it took about 3 days and 4 iterations to get them happy with it, and it was up there and live. So yeah, very easy.
Go Mika, go Mika, go Mika.
Yeah. No, it was ever so helpful.
So
I suppose it helps when my cat is also called Mika.
Probably. The plugin repo still is on SVN, right? So if you're a Git developer, there's a little bit of some nuances there that you have to understand about SVN versus Git. It's similar, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I must
admit. There's different ways to do things on the internet?
There are, yeah.
Whoa. There's not just one way.
No.
I could get really deep from here. I just want you to know that, but I'm not going to.
So my question, Colin.
I've included in the show notes the link that you can go take a look at on how to go and actually submit to the directory. Yeah. And
their first link at the bottom is how to use SVN, right? So Colin, did you come to this experience with SVN experience, or
none whatsoever? Never used it before in my life, and I still don't use it properly. I fudge it, but it works for me, and I push my code, and it gets there, and people are doing updates, so not a problem. But it's not the most logical of things of software I've found to use. It really is not. But there again, I'm over 65, shall we say, so learning new things doesn't come as easily to me as maybe it did 40 years ago. We
should just completely discount your opinion because experience means nothing. No, wait, that is not accurate. That's not true.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, so.
No, I think that a sign of a good software is that it can be used by someone who hasn't used it before. Of course, with stuff like this, a lot of it becomes legacy. I was just my business partner was submitting a grant for a big organization, and she had to trick her browser into using Internet Explorer in order to submit the grant.
Oh, no.
Wow. What is it? What was it? An ActiveX control or something?
I didn't ask for screenshots because it was hectic enough already. But
Jason, is that still a thing? ActiveX?
ActiveX? No, not really a thing. But
But that's the first thing I think of when something is Internet Explorer specific. Like it only works on IE, then it has to be an ActiveX control, right?
Definitely.
See, that's when it's like the cautionary tale of lock-in. Like forever is basically all of the proliferation of custom software that got made for IE, that it's like I don't know how many years since it's been like officially discontinued.
Yeah,
and people are still like,
Microsoft actually sent out emails and stuff saying, please stop using this version of Internet Explorer.
Yeah. Just this month they said, stop using Internet Explorer. We're not.
Yeah,
so
they're like, this is a problem. You guys stop it.
Yeah.
And but they can't. So there's all these, arts organizations and nonprofits, and to have not only port the data from a system like that and all of the systems that it's connected to, that's tangly. And they can't implement the new system because they're still active. Like this type of transition is like of Gutenberg-esque proportions.
All done with ActiveX and ASP.
Yep.
ASP.
ASP. Man.
Actually, also just bought tickets on an ASB website for Broadway and could not put it through, had to call, they had to call me back, and then they were apologizing for their website and telling me that it doesn't work. Like, hey,
what were the tickets for?
Come to find out, it's the accent and say that screwed up the entire thing.
I want to just totally say this for real. They are to see a childhood friend who I was in a high school play with, who is in the musical The Band's Visit, which won 10 Tony Awards, including Best Musical and a Grammy.
Wow.
So I'm going to go see her before the show's over.
That's awesome.
That's why I was buying the ticket. No, not important, but just FYI.
No, I like it. It's a good story.
Yeah, except for their website really sucks. So people are like probably not buying tickets to Broadway because that website was a nightmare and I had to like literally do work to do it. It was bad. Yeah. Anyway.
So this has been going around the internet a little bit when it comes to WordPress, is that if you go to wordpress.org/plugins/design, which is pretty much the best slug for a plugin, but /design takes you to the Gutenberg blocks design library, which is like a fully tricked out collection of blocks that are built out. Like, it's not just one block, but actually like a collection of blocks that make up a very nicely and cleanly looking design that you can just essentially drop onto your site.
It's basically phase 2 in a plugin.
And so, and what's funny is like you go and look to see who this developer is. Like, this developer has no other plugins other than this one, but it's top freaking notch. Like, it looks good. It's like somebody was like, you know what? I really want to have my block editor, but I still want to do like specific type of design stuff, but I'm stuck having to use Gutenberg. I'm going to make both of these work together. So it's like they kind of just stuffed in Beaver Builder-esque things into a bunch of blocks. Really cool. Feel free to go take a look at it. I thought it's awesome. And
so I think that this switch is actually doing just that, right? It's really drawing a line in the sand between essentially legacy systems and the new stuff, right? Like Matt Mullenweg said that 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 12 years ago, however long ago, learn JavaScript deeply, right?
Right.
Whenever that was. And, now you're seeing the fact that the people who already knew JavaScript, or the people who that was like their basis, they're being able to just take off running. It's like they've been waiting for the baton, like, let's go. And then the people who are like kind of the legacy systems are like, gotta catch up and rebuild a plugin or reconfigure a system. And we're at an interesting time for that.
Yeah.
You got the most cutting edge and then stuff that's just like.
This one's a trip though, because this one's a trip because it says that it's using all of the basic Gutenberg blocks, just the default Gutenberg blocks. And then if you're using any other custom blocks, so for instance, something like atomic blocks or advanced Gutenberg blocks or stackable or any of these ones that are out there, that they just work. Like, the styles work with it. Everything just kind of works together. Nice, clean, easy. Very I was playing around with it. I thought it was really cool. And for something like this to just pop up, especially from somebody who I have no idea who this developer is. WP Design Hub is their name, and their website's wpdesignhub.com, and it's just gorgeous looking stuff.
But see, and that's the other thing that's super interesting when you talk about the WordPress community, right? There's always such a bigger community than you realize. There's all these people using WordPress, making things for WordPress, like Colin. I didn't know Colin, and he's over here building plugins in Spain. Everyone's taking this stuff and doing things with it, and it's pretty amazing. It's like what else is there globally where you have this type of global effort towards something? Like, is there? I don't know that there is something like that, where everyone's kind of just like working together, and this person pops up this plugin and whatever, and comes, and I can't think of anything else that works like that. Maybe WordPress can just change the world.
You guys have obviously got more customers than I have. How have you found customers taking to Gutenberg? Because I must admit, I saw the post earlier on in the week that Jason mentioned earlier about that plugin there, and I thought I've had a lot of pushback about going to Gutenberg versus Classic Editor from my customers, but actually looking at that, it looks like that plugin and Gutenberg may be the way to go, and an education process for some of my customers.
What is your client's reason for protesting, or at least advocating to go back to the Classic Editor, or protesting against the switch? What do they say?
Basically, it's the way I've always done it. It's the usual comment. It's just like a word processor, and that's the way I'm used to working. And
do you show them the classic block and say, look, it's the exact same one. There it is.
I must admit, I'm also a bit guilty of saying that's the way I always do it as well. I have had a play around, particularly I wanted to get some SVGs into a site. And I found that using Gutenberg was certainly a damn sight easier than trying to hack the rest of WordPress to get some SVGs to display on a page.
See, I have a tiny bit of a problem with the, I prefer the old way of doing things. Because things are always changing. It's like, okay, so you like the old way of doing things. And this is how I've approached people who said that to me is, okay, you like the old way of doing things. So I assume that you don't have email and you do all your correspondence through the actual U.S. Postal Service or what have you.
A dumb phone.
Yeah, exactly. You don't like that things change, but the people who learn to adapt are the ones who end up growing, and that's the whole point of new things is to grow and to expand.
Yeah, but
expand yourself.
And I agree with all that, but I have some clients that have a team of 50 or 100 people. Right. And so then you've got a change management issue. Right. So I understand the resistance to change because it becomes a training issue. Right. So, if you're talking about small teams, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. But there are large teams out there that, that have to consider the training time involved in upgrading to something like Gutenberg.
I mean, but eventually they're going to have to change their system anyway. They're going to have to update their training anyway. So, and
IE7. Oh, I'm sorry. IE7, yeah. Sorry about that, man.
To be fair, and to bring it back around, we should absolutely consider the pain of what I said about IE when we're talking about the Classic Editor plugin and supporting that for ever.
And not only that, but the fact is that sometimes these types of things are forced upon the users. And then you get Steve's favorite department, the IT department, having to manage that, or rather kind of figure out like, okay, I'm going to make sure none of these computers can ever do this Windows update for Internet Explorer. And then you come to find out that Internet Explorer and the actual operating system are so tied together that things just stop working altogether because you've now blocked Internet Explorer from updating for your entire organization. So
I worry about that for people who, if they are building, like, for example, if you're building a new site, there's no way that you should use any you wouldn't, I'm assuming, I shouldn't assume, but I just backed myself into a corner there. That never happens. Basically, I would say that one should, if one is building a new site, use the new technology and not try to string build something new with the old way. But if you're building something, or I guess if you're building something new for an old client, that's also the opportunity to build something using the new technology. I think the danger is if you build like that you build something new for a client and continue to use the old technology and basically build in legacy systems. That's the dangerous part.
I really feel like you can't coddle the people too much who want to stay on the old thing, because once the support ends up dropping for the classic editor plugin, however far out that is, yeah, you're going to run into the situation that Jason said, where things just start to fall apart. You've basically created a house of cards for yourself. So yes, if you have somebody who wants to stay on the classic editor, wants the old way, whatever, that's fine for right now. However, you need to come up with a plan with your client. At least you don't have to, but honestly, for future
strongly consider.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a case by case basis. I think it depends on the client, depends on what they've got going on. But yeah, eventually everybody's going to be forced to upgrade. Yes.
Into something, like everything has to upgrade. Eventually your old iPads don't host the software that you need anymore.
No, and so
I have to upgrade my computer. Slack's going to stop working.
With a large team, I think it's just best to sort of communicate and figure out what the long-term plan is, right? When is the switch going to happen? How long does the training need to be leading up to the switch, right? There's a lot more involved than just flipping the switch and saying, go for it.
I mean,
absolutely, but developing that plan is the thing that you need to do either yourself or with your client, preferably with your client.
Totally. It's more of a project management task than it is a development task.
Mm-hmm.
So there is also a kind of business model built off of supporting legacy systems. This is definitely something you see a lot right now in older programmers, for example, who are like being brought back out of retirement to
guys who worked on the Y2K bug.
Yeah, well, I mean, my father-in-law actually is a programmer, and there's the shipping, program that this port uses, and they're literally trying to court him. He's like one of only I don't know 10. I don't know how many people there are that know this software, but they're like, please come here.
And Pascal programmers were coming out of the woodwork, having to go and start rewriting stuff. It was like, whoa, this is really cool. And then they're like, oh, we actually need somebody who writes assembly language. If you do any type of assembly language, you need to start writing stuff for us. And I mean, I just like many of you folks had to work through that Y2K stuff, and I lost a job because of Y2K. Like the system that I was managing was not compatible, and so because of that I lost my job.
Like the new system, like you weren't kept on to keep the new system going, so they were like, you go with the old system. Because
I was the old system. Yeah.
So you're the baby in the bathwater in that example.
Do you have a Y2K bug in your brain, or
no? But I wasn't hired. I mean, I didn't build the dang thing. I mean, I was the one managing it. But they're like, hey, sorry.
Well, there's definitely, like I was gonna say, there's definitely a business model for that, for preserving those legacy systems or keeping them up to date in their
Steve, how often do your old customers come back to you, Steve, and be like, hey, so my restaurant website, I need to get that menu updated, and it's written in Flash. Can you
my Macromedia Director kiosk is down. Aren't there space stations that are still using floppy disks, right? No, I'm serious.
Big floppy disks.
I mean, that technology is from the 60s. Why wouldn't they still talk about legacy systems? Like, how do you upgrade that? You're like, this one worked when we took it to the moon. But,
it works just fine.
Actually, I threw away about 500 3.5-inch discs only last week.
Wow.
Saving 5.25.
I've got nothing that could possibly read them anymore, let alone anything else. But hey, bit of a magpie. But there's firms out there now that are offering read your old discs and we'll put them onto CD or memory sticks and all sorts. So as you say, there is still life in some old technology and people wanting data transferred even today from 5.25-inch discs, 3.5-inch.
Yeah, even the plugin repository, which is, has all this new stuff in it. It also has stuff from freaking 5 years ago that isn't being taken out, isn't compatible, has warnings on it, or sometimes is compatible. But in terms of stewardship, community stewardship, I would say that that's something that we should, I haven't done any action towards this, so I'm, armchair quarterbacking here, but that's something that can be detrimental to people going in there and looking through this like old and broken stuff that hasn't been updated. And, if they think that it's good, or, if they were to try to use it, like that reflects badly on the system. So the fact that we have stuff in the repo that's not compatible with the new stuff, that's also not updated to be current at all, like that's a bit of a problem.
And so I do a lot of code reviews for clients. So when we inherit a project, the first thing I do is a code review. And one of the major focuses of the code review is what technology you're using, what plugins you're using, what third-party technology. But when I look at plugins, part of my code review is, okay, which plugins are outdated? Which plugins are showing as outdated? But there's another factor that doesn't show in your WordPress dashboard that I concentrate on is which plugins have not been updated in over a year, right? So a plugin that hasn't been updated in 2 or 3 years, but is on the most current version, doesn't give you any warnings in your WordPress dashboard. It doesn't show you anything because WordPress still considers it up to date, right? It is the latest version of that plugin, right? But I think they need a new flag or some sort of indication that says
limit login attempts. Like that plugin, limit login attempts, no joke, has not been updated for 7 freaking years.
And a simple plugin that might be okay, right? It might be okay that it's never updated, but a more complex plugin, if it hasn't been updated in several years, that could be very problematic.
I mean, you could be literally putting holes in your site, like unintentionally exposing your site to being hacked, essentially. I cannot remember the word.
It's okay. So I actually think
that's what I'm sticking with.
I think the WordPress core needs something more in the plugin screen that shows you this plugin is not compatible with this. It hasn't been tested with this version of WordPress. It shows you over
that.
What?
I mean, it says,
if you click and get to the pop-up, it shows you that, but it doesn't show you in the overview screen. It only shows you the plugins that are out of date.
Right. So you're saying basically we need more communication because that data is available. It's not there. It's just not surfaced.
It is. But I think as soon as you turn that on, everybody's going to freak out because that screen's just going to look like a mess. For somebody that's got 50 plugins installed on their site, that screen's going to look like a nightmare.
Oh my God.
This is just like when somebody asks. This is just like when somebody asks you like, how many plugins can I have installed on my website? It's like, how many plugins? Well, it depends. How many lines of code are in that plugin? How crazy is the plugin itself? What kind of things are they doing? You can't answer that question, nor can you say like, if this plugin is 20 years old and it predates WordPress itself, yet this thing still works just fine because all it's doing is changing one color of one thing on the page that has not changed anything else. There's no functionality that's been added or anything. It's just like a
pinkified
simple thing.
It's pinkified.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's exactly it, right? So we need more information, and we need to educate our clients, and life's going to keep on rolling, and there's still going to be old plugins and new plugins.
Strangely enough, there is a plugin in the repo that is 7 years old that is called Plugin Last Updated. Pete Mall from Range made it. I think I still owe him a bottle of whiskey for making it. However, it adds to the plugin page the last date that the plugin was updated.
That plugin should just be renamed as "Isn't It Ironic?" Don't you think?
Yeah.
The Alanis Morissette plugin.
Yeah.
I still run it on my sites, and it still actually runs just fine. Because
can you just go in there and like freaking update like a space or like a period, please? Like just do it.
On the top of plugin last updated, it says this plugin hasn't been tested with the latest 3 major releases of WordPress. Love it.
That's developer humor, is what that is.
Right. So. And passes the PHP 7.2 and 7.3 compatibility checkers, but nonetheless.
Well, folks, it's 11:30. I want to say thank you very much for all you folks for hanging out with us, and that you're able to be able to come on the show and hang out. If you want to come on the show, I send out emails every week. You can go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com. You can click on the links there to subscribe and to figure out how you can actually subscribe to the mailing list that I send out. If you go to WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, that's where the actual subscription pages is. So you can figure out where to subscribe to the stuff and get involved in all of that. If you like this content, it's something that you were interested in and you think your friends might be interested in, there's a share button somewhere on the page that you're on right now. Hit the share button. Talk to y'all later. You have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.